Hello, my name is Bob. Welcome to a short stop on pool. This week's rack of the week is a little bit longer than normal. I'm going to do a complete rack and then most of the way through another rack. This is the end of my 95 ball run. And I'm going to show the rack before it, which I made it through, and then we'll show the very next partial rack, which ended the run. Why did it end the run? Let's get into the rack. Shallow angle break shot. So pretty much this is just a stun off the rack. I've got to hit it pretty hard, and I don't want to draw the cue ball all the way up table. So that's a pretty good result. There was a little bit of draw on that, as you see. You're not going to get the rack wide open on that break shot. Now I have two shots to choose from. The 4, which is a thin cut, and I could try and play the cue ball back and forth across the table to get an angle on this 3 to go in and to open up that cluster, but I decided to go the other way. This is a much easier shot, and I think it's easier to control the speed. And I'm just trying to lay the cue ball on the rail right here where my arm is. So I hit it a little bit too short. I come short of that position. You saw me wave my hand trying to get the cue ball off the rail, and it did. So I've got a pretty good angle. This is kind of a sharp cut shot. All you need to do here is focus on pocketing the object ball. I'm aiming at the top center of the cue ball. Just put a good medium firm stroke and make that ball. This is probably the best possible result you could hope for. I made 2 extra balls on that one shot, and I have a break shot right here. So wonderful result. Now I've studied this for a little bit, so I'll pause it for a second and give it a little talk about this. I have 2 shots to shoot right now. It may be hard to tell, but I can see the 8 ball and clear to the 8. I can't do anything with the cue ball but roll forward. And my other shot is the 6. Obviously the 6 is very simple. I'd like to shoot the 6 because that opens up the pocket for the 7. As I mentioned, the 9 ball is my break ball. So really the only thing I have to do is navigate this small cluster in the bottom and I'll be good. So my first inclination was to shoot the 6, send the cue ball past the 10. It'll probably hit the 15, and that can go wrong a lot of ways. If I hit it too full, the cue ball is going to stay down here on the bottom rail in the 15. I'm just not going to have a good shot. I don't want to take any risks here. I'm at the close to a high run of the week. If I finish this rack, it'll be 84 balls. That's not a good way to think. You don't want to be playing shots based on the length of your run. But I have to admit that's what I was doing. So it's still good practice to not take big risks when you have better options. So what I finally decided to do is roll forward. What I'm hoping to do is shoot the 8 and roll forward to maybe here. And the reason why is it's an easy shot to pocket the 15 and then kind of spin the cue ball up into these balls. I don't like it in the fact that I'm pushing balls towards other balls that are already open, but I think that's a pretty safe way to get a shot. I'm going to have a shot on the 6 or the 10 or the 8 in the side. I think it's pretty safe. So that's what I'm looking for. And I'm studying it right now, and I'm taking the time to walk over and look, okay, if I shoot the 15, where do I want to be? Do I want to be down here, low on the 15? That's not a bad choice either. So I'm thinking it over, giving it a good think. It's important to do because none of these shots are difficult. They're very easy shots. It's not the shots that we're studying this for, it's the position. That's what's difficult, is getting these balls open in a safe way. That's the hard part. So, simple shot, a lot of care taken, and the cue ball rolls way too far. I'm almost dead straight here. So what I'm seeing now is that the 14-10 is a very easy combination. And had the cue ball not rolled far enough for the 15, I could have shot that. But I'm playing position here on that draw shot for the 13 and this combination. Now the cue ball hit the 13 and bounced way long. And the cue ball hit the 13 and came away long. So now I'm not right on this combination, so I'm not going to risk that. But now that the 13's hanging in front of the pocket, this is a good time to remove the 6, because the cue ball naturally just goes right into these balls. I'm going to have a shot on the 2 in the side, or the 13, or some type of combination on the 13, which is, I know that that's what happens. This is a very low risk shot as compared to that other one where I was going to try and come off the rail at the cluster this way when the 13 is still up here. So this one has an extremely high chance of success. So it's no surprise that it turns out great. So instantly here, this is the shot, the combination, and the next ball to remove is this 7. Because if you remember last week, it's in this quadrant. It's below my break, where my break shot wants to go. We need to get rid of those balls. There's multiple ways that I can run the remaining balls, but they all involve removing this 7 ball early. So this shot is positioned on the 7, and once that happens, the end pattern becomes real obvious to me. There's many ways to do it, but what seems real obvious to me and foolproof is I want to save these 2 balls for the end. So once I shoot the 7, minimal cue ball movement means bing, I'm on this 14. And all I need to do is bounce off the rail and get an inside angle on the 10. I'll erase my lines. After I shoot the 14, I'll have an inside angle on the 10, and I can just go here and here, and I've got a massive position zone. Multiple ways to shoot these last 2 balls and get on the 9. So at this point, it doesn't take a whole lot of thought. I'm looking at it now, I see it now. So here we go. One little tip when shooting this 10 ball, when shooting this 14 ball, there's 2 ways to get position on the 10, and you see me, I just stopped and looked at my angle. You could try and draw the cue ball straight back, or you could bounce it off the rail. Always bounce it off the rail. Way more controllable. Just like that. Now, depending on where the cue ball stops, I can shoot the 11 first, then float forward and shoot the 2 in the side, and then roll forward on the 2 to get on my break shot. But what happens is I get a better shot on the 2. Now, it wouldn't be the end of the world to shoot the 11 right now. You know, I'd probably get up and think about it. It wouldn't be the end of the world to shoot this 11 and follow forward to the bottom rail and up here. Because any kind of an inside angle and you can just bounce off this rail for position on your break shot. Alternatively, you could shoot the 11 and come this way. If you come short, you can bounce off this rail. There's multiple ways to get there. But I want the way that involves the least amount of cue ball movement. And so that's what I'm taking a second to look at right now. And what I decide is to go with the old Mike Siegel favorite. And I took a look, and a stop shot on the 2, or just a little bit of a drawback, minimal cue ball movement. I have the perfect angle to do what I just mentioned, but to get on my break shot. So now, I've got to empty the pocket. When you're shooting this shot, what you want to think about is this. You don't want the cue ball to hit the rail low, because then you're coming towards your ball. If you come past it, you won't have much angle. So when you shoot this 2 rail route, what you want to aim for the rail directly across from the break ball. Because if you get that route, if you come into the rail here, then you've got the right exit angle, and I've got a good break shot anywhere from here to way up here. Anywhere in there, I've got a good break shot. It's a little bit ironic. I now have 84 points in this run, and my high run 2 weeks ago was 84, and I missed almost this identical break shot, and it might have been the 9 ball. I'll probably bring up that clip and show it right here. Now this is the break shot I missed 2 weeks ago, 84 ball run, and I've taken good care. I just went and looked at the angle for the shot. I'm standing behind the ball, visualizing before I get down. It's just when I was down on the shot, I just wasn't seeing it, and I went ahead and shot anyway. I'm cueing the cue ball low as well, and then I jump. I kind of flinch when I stroke the ball because I'm just not confident on the shot, and I undercut it. So that's on my mind. On top of that, there's a guy at the table next to me right over here who's shooting a shot, And I'm like, oh, geez, I got to deal with this. Okay, so I'm like, I'm going to wait till he's done shooting. So I walk over here, and I'm just going to take some deep breaths, and I'm going to watch him shoot. And instead of missing the 9-ball like I did 2 weeks ago, this is just another shot, and I need to go through my proper shot routine. So there I was standing behind the ball, seeing the line, take a few moments standing behind the cue ball, see the line, make sure my cue tip is addressed correctly, then begin my warm-ups, only then. And I'm taking a couple of extra strokes, and I'm asking myself, do I have the aim point? Do I have it? Do I have it? Yes. Okay, shoot. Excellent break shot. You notice the cue ball curved forward and then came straight back up. You really can't ask for much more. So normally on my Rack of the Week, I would stop here, but this run ends with 95 balls, so I make some more balls here, and I think it's real educational to talk about why. So I'd take a quick look at this rack, and let me shoot the 3-ball before I pause this so I can get out of the way. So I had a real easy shot on the 3-ball to start, and I noticed two things. There's two problem areas in this rack. These 2 balls and these 2 balls. Anytime you have 2 balls along the same rail, it's tricky because you've got to remove this 11 before you can come back around and shoot the 4-ball here. Well, there's a much better way to deal with that problem. Play position right here. Shoot the 4 up in this corner. And then you've automatically got position here. So it's a faster way to deal with this problem. And I'm also not very concerned about these 2 balls. There's balls surrounding. It's just going to be very easy to nudge these open with insurance. And I have 2 balls for break shot into the next rack, the 10 and the 14. Now, I don't have a key ball above those balls, but that's the least of my concerns. I'm overjoyed at how well these balls have opened up. I know that I can deal with this easily. So the first thing on my mind was shoot the 3-ball, come back to center table. I'm going to use the 15, super easy shot and position to just bring the cue ball back up here and clear the 11 and the 4 in one time in this grouping. In other words, 3, 15, 4, 11. That's a grouping of 4 balls. That's nearly a third of the balls on the table. So I'm not thinking about anything else right now. 3, 15, 4, 11, and then I'll look at what else I have. Super easy shot and reliable position. Just come up here and get on the 4 and then the 11. So after I shoot those 2 balls, I want to nudge these balls open in a safe way. And when shooting the 11, I notice that I can get a low angle on this one, shoot it in this corner, and bump these 2 balls. And they're oriented up and down the table. So one ball is going to go this direction, and the other one's going to carry them off the first ball. So I think it's a really, really safe shot. And you'll see after I get my position after shooting this 11. The cue ball is going to nudge the 13, and I definitely see the cue ball carrying forward on the 13 into the 2. And I'm even thinking, gee, maybe the 2 will be a better break shot. But what I'm thinking mostly is that the 8 ball is my insurance ball on this shot. So this can't go wrong, I don't think. And then after I shoot it, you look at the balls and ask yourself, look where these balls end up. What's wrong with that? It's perfect. Well, it's not perfect. And here's why. The 2 ball blocks both of these balls from going in this corner pocket. And then this ball blocks this ball from going in that corner pocket. So the ideal way to clear these balls is to get some type of a shot on this 14 ball, either short side here to shoot it over there, or short side here to shoot the 14 up there. Because with both of those shots, I can play position on the 2. Now, any other day of the week, I might have run the rest of this rack out easily and not even thought about it. And I would never given another thought to this rack. And indeed, on my way to scoring these 84 points on this day, I probably dealt with a bunch of situations just like this and made it through them and not a care in the world. So the only reason we're talking about this is that I know in advance that this was a failure point, and so I'm trying to learn a lesson from it. And And the lesson is I make several more shots. And so you might call the later shot the failure point. But after reviewing this rack, I can tell you now that the shot I'm about to shoot is the failure point. Because I'm going to shoot the 8 ball. If the cue ball was over here a little bit farther, I would shoot the 14 in the corner without a doubt. Very easy to get position on different balls. And then I can use either this ball or the 10 as a break shot. But based on where the cue ball is, I'm going to shoot the 8. And what I'm trying to do is bounce off the rail and come this way. I think there's multiple ways to come out golden with this shot. If I hit the 13 full, just like this shows, and I'm not going to hit it hard, that knocks the 13 to the rail, which clears the pocket for the 14. The cue ball stops here, and I have a shot on the 2. Bing, bang, bong. The rest of the rack is easy. What if I come off this rail and I hit the bottom side of the 13? Well, then the 13 comes up a little bit farther. The cue ball goes to the rail and comes off. Same situation. Come out golden. What if I hit the rail and the cue ball hits the top side of the 13? Then it not, or is that the 11? Whichever ball this is. And that would knock this ball to the rail. The cue ball is going to go this way, maybe hit the 14, maybe not. Either way, I'll have a shot on the 13 or the 2, no problem. I'm not done yet, guys. What if I draw it too much or spin it too much and the cue ball hits the 2? Then it hits the 13. Then I probably have a shot on either the 13 or the 14 up in this corner pocket or the 2 ball back in this pocket. I'm still going to be okay. I'm still not done. What if the cue ball hits the 14? I'll probably have a shot on the 10. I might possibly have a shot on the 2. And worst case scenario, I'll have a shot on the 13-2 combination or the 6-7 combination. So I just think this is the right shot. I'm bumping a ball, which is breaking a cardinal rule of straight pool. You don't want to do that, especially late in the rack. Like I said, the chances of coming out golden and clearing this rack easily are really high. But I failed to hit the 8 ball correctly. Watch what happens. Because I'm jacked up over the 13 a little bit, and because I don't stroke it smoothly, I kind of chop at it. And that makes the cue ball come off the rail really short. And I miss. All 3 of those balls I miss. Now, in hindsight, what I think I would like to do, you saw me point already at the angle. There, I'm pointing at the angle right now. So I still have it on my mind. Let me get out of the way before I pause this. I still have it on my mind to bump those balls in that same fashion. And I point it at this point on the rail because I'm going to cut the 7 in the side, go to this point, and then I have that scenario that I just described. I'm going to open these balls up. No problem. I'll tell you what, in hindsight, what I wish I would have done is shot the 5 ball and sent the cue ball into the 14 because that's going to shake these up and I'll have a shot on the 10. Probably still have a break ball. But that's a terrible idea because I'm ruining both of my potential, or 2 of my potential break shots. I'm second guessing things. The other thing I could have done is shot the 5 and gone to the rail and back up or something like that. I don't know. I don't think those are good shots. I think I'm shooting the correct shot here. Unbelievable what happens. I picked my target, and you saw me, I looked at it twice. My target is to hit the rail right here, or close to that. Watch where the cue ball hits the rail in relationship to that point. About 6 inches off, and once again, I missed all 3 balls. Now, how did I miss it so badly? I had high English on the cue ball. So the high kind of straightened it out off this rail instead of it giving me a true angle over to here into those balls. Really frustrated. I know I'm completely overthinking this whole situation, but I think it's educational because it shows you how easily even the best layouts could go wrong. Any other day of the week, I would have run out the rest of this rack in about a minute and a half at most and been into the next rack. That's why straight pool is the hardest game. It can go wrong at any moment in time. So now I've got, I look at it and I think I still have a pretty good opportunity. I have an angle on the 12, and I'm going to use the 12 to come over here, and I want to get straight in on the 5, because then a stop shot on the 5 and I'm on the 2, and I can deal with things from there. And I make my third mistake at that point. Let's go ahead and shoot this 12. Perfect execution. I'm just real happy. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get out. So I go look, if the cue ball's in the ghost ball position, is that where I want to be? Yes, it is, or I could come forward just a hair. Look, I go look at it twice just to make sure. And what I decide to do when I shoot the 2 ball is to go to the rail, straight to the rail, and right English to spin up. And then I'll have a shot on the 13. Then I can come around and navigate the 6-14 to get on the 10 as the break shot, or 6-10 and get on the 14 as a break shot. Right? I just look, that's where I want to be. So I'm going to chop the 2 in with a lot of right English and spin it up here. I'm going to pause this if I can get it in time. There we go. In hindsight, we're doing a lot of the shoulda, coulda, woulda, which is kind of a exercise in futility. But had I known, what I would have done, since I was sliding on this 2, what I should have done is simply floated to the rail softly and out to here. No matter what I did with speed control, stopped here, 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 I would have a shot on one of these 2 balls up in the corner, and I would have been into the next rack. So that's a little bit of Monday morning quarterbacking. I could also have hit this 2 ball well and been just fine. But as you can see, I cued too low on the cue ball and just drew it right into the 13, and now I'm just nowhere. Real frustrated. I only have one shot. This orange stripe goes up in this upper corner pocket, and I look at it there. I can't do anything but cue it with a high ball. The cue ball, yeah, right now I'm like, well, I wish I had a jump cue. I'd jump the 6 in. Are jump shots allowed in straight pool? I don't think so. But the cue ball is going to miss the 14 and go to the rail here. So it's going to come around, and I should get another shot if I can make this ball. Now this is, if you're playing a straight pool match against someone, you play safe here. You knock the break ball away and play safe somehow. I don't know. You don't try and cut, well, maybe you do, but this is a Hail Mary shot, and I miss it by, I don't know, half a diamond. It's about here. Real hard to judge when that angle when you're that close to the ball. I measure it 2 or 3 times trying to make this. But I think that's a good lesson. Your rack can end at any time, and that's the reason why there's a balance when you're playing straight pool between shooting in a rhythm where you're just shooting balls, and also paying attention to take care so you don't let dumb mistakes like this happen to you. That's what it takes to get high runs in straight pool. I hope you found that informative, entertaining, and helpful. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. Head over to SatoriFlatRack.com and check out the promo video for my new and unique pool ball rack. And of course, ShortstopOnPool.com for my book, A Shortstop on Straight Pool. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time at Shortstop on Pool.